Hey, what's up? Welcome back. I'm Chris Abbott, and in this video, we're going to be talking about why isn't my church growing, part one. Jaxx has to offer. Church growth experts tell us that 85% of Protestant churches in North America will never break the 200 mark. In fact, according to the Barna Group, the average church size in America is 89 people. So in this video, we're going to be talking about superhero syndrome and why it's holding your church back, and the magic number that you have to flip your leadership in order to start growing your church. A couple of years ago, Carey Nieuwhof wrote an article that went viral on social media. It was shared over 40,000 times, and it was read by over 250,000 church leaders. So shout out to Pastor Carey, because that article was actually the inspiration for this video, and a lot of this information is actually his. So let's dive in. Let's talk about why isn't my church growing? Okay, so first off, there's actually 4 things that it's not, and this is really important to understand. So number one, the reason your church isn't growing is not lack of desire. Right? It's not that pastors don't want their church to grow. A lot of them just don't know what to do. So it's not desire. It's not a lack of love or authenticity. It's not a lack of prayer, right? There's plenty of churches out there that are praying all the time. They're desperately trying to grow their church and reach more people. But let's dive into 4 things that it actually is. Number one, small church structure. Okay, so the reason that most churches don't ever break the 200 mark is because they're structured to stay small. So if you think about it, when I was growing up, I grew up in a small town, and there was a corner store that we went to buy all of our groceries, right? Like if we're gonna stop and go get a candy bar or something to eat or a gallon of milk or something like that, we'd swing by the Kemptown store and pick it up there. And the cool thing about the Kemptown store was whenever you went there, the owner was in the back stocking shelves, and his wife was at the cash register, and they knew everybody's name, right? It was just kind of a small mom and pop store. In fact, everybody that worked for him was usually related to them somehow, right? It was all family. And that was awesome for the corner store, but you can't run a large supermarket the same way. If you're the owner of the store, you can't be stocking shelves. You've got a team to manage, right? Your wife can't be working the cash register. You have to have cashiers for that. There's other things that you want to do. And that's the reason that most small churches stay small, is because they're structured like the small corner store. So there's a huge difference between the way that you would organize a small corner store and the way that you would organize a large supermarket. And your church has to apply that same principle. So you can't continue to be everywhere all at once if you want to grow your church. You're going to have to build a structure that's going to be able to support growth, which means you're not going to be able to do everything. You're going to have to raise up leaders in order to help you. A bigger vision requires a bigger structure. All right, point number 2, superhero syndrome. Right? This is something we've all struggled with if you've been in ministry for more than 5 minutes, but this is where you as the pastor do absolutely everything. And you're preparing for your message, you're taking care of people, you're following up, you're doing house calls, you're praying for people, you're cleaning the church, you do absolutely everything, right? That's not sustainable, especially if you want to grow. It works when you only have a few people, but as you continue to grow, you have to build a team and you have to empower new leaders. Due to the cognitive limits imposed on our brains, we know that the average person's social influence is only about 150 people. This is called Dunbar's number. It's actually named after Robin Dunbar, the anthropologist who discovered it. But this is a really important number to know. This is why so many churches who can't break through the 200 barrier get stuck around 150 people. It's because you can only effectively manage about 150 social interactions. So if you have 150 people in your church, you can effectively pastor and shepherd them by yourself. But in order to get to 175, to break through 200, and to get to 250, you have to empower another leader, right? So, man, the Bible says if one can put 1,000 to flight, then 2 can put 10,000. So this is a compounding principle. But so you know that if you're going to shepherd a church of 250, 300, 400, 500, you're going to have additional leaders, because you're not going to be able to effectively pastor and shepherd 500 people by yourself. You have to raise up leaders. All right, and finally, the reason that so many churches don't ever break the 200 barrier is because they feel like they have to work more and put in more hours in order to reach more people. Now, this isn't true, but this actually brings us into point 3. Okay, before we get to our next point, man, if this video is helpful and you're finding value from it, would you just share it with somebody who's trying to grow their church or who might be in a place where they need to hear this? All right, point number 3, increase equals pain. Now, this is one of the hardest things for leaders to understand, but the problem is if you're maxed out right now, one of the reasons you can't break through the 200 barrier is because to you, you've now associated increase with pain. Because you're looking at it thinking, oh my gosh, I can't get everything done now. If I'm going to continue to work on my message and get things done, but we're going to add another 50 or 100 people, right? Your brain just goes, I'm going to have to work so many more hours and reach so many more people, at so many more hospital visits, right? That is not sustainable. So that increase equal pain, the problem is because you as the pastor are the primary caregiver. You can't continue to be the primary caregiver if you're going to effectively grow your church and reach more people. Your role has to shift into that of a coach, and you have to empower other caregivers inside of your church. And you can do that in a couple of different ways. It can be bringing on an assistant pastor, an executive pastor, or a care team pastor, or building up a care team. What a lot of churches do is they'll actually empower small groups, and that becomes the caregiver. So think about it. If you plug into a small group that you're meeting with once a week or once every other week, and it's 3, 4, 5 other families, what's going to happen is when you go to the hospital, they're going to call you. So this actually happened with my small group. Is we had a friend of ours who had some crazy stuff go down and was being rushed to the hospital, and they didn't call the pastor of our church or any of the staff members or anything like that. They called us, and our entire small group, who had a text thread, found out about it instantly, and we're all able to jump into the car and rush up to the hospital, and we got there just a little bit after the ambulance, because it's a lot quicker and a lot more mobile to be able to mobilize the people in your church, because we're not trying to pastor 150, 200, 300 people. We're just pastoring the people in our small group. One of the hard truths is that pastoral care stunts church growth. Again, this is why you have to raise up leaders or use a small group system to be able to help with the pastoral care so that you are not the primary caregiver. 98% of pastoral care is having someone who cares. That doesn't have to be you as the pastor. And number 4, you don't have the right people. So Pastor Kerry did a survey of over 1,400 pastors, and he found out that one of the number one reasons that pastors felt like their church couldn't grow was because they didn't have the right people in place. So not only are pastors exhausted from trying to do everything, but so are the handful of volunteers that are trying to do everything too, right? Because it's not just you. If you've got the same kids workers in your kids ministry week after week, and they're back there volunteering their faces off, but never actually sitting with their spouse inside of the service, that's a problem. If you've got the same people on stage leading worship and singing every single week, that might sound fun for a while, but eventually they get burned out, and that's just not sustainable. Okay, so how do you get the right people? The truth is, growing churches don't find great leaders, they build them. And this is one of the greatest truths that I think a lot of smaller churches don't realize, is you look at it and you look at all these other churches that you admire and you look at the amazing leaders at their church. What you don't understand is they didn't go out and hire those guys. Those are homegrown. They built those leaders from the ground up. So who do you have in your church that you can start investing in as a leader, right? Ask yourself whose fingerprints are on your leadership, and then write down what you've learned. Maybe it's Pastor Kerry Newhoff, maybe it's Craig Rochelle, maybe it's John Maxwell. Who is it that's invested into your life and whose fingerprints are on your leadership? And then be able to invest and teach those principles to the next generation of leaders in your church. Pastor Kerry says that the reason the people in your church aren't like the leaders in the churches you admire is because you haven't led them there yet. So remember, growing churches don't find great leaders, they build them. Okay, so I've got so many great points that I couldn't fit it all into one video. So we've got Why Isn't My Church Growing Part 2. You're gonna wanna check it out. So click on the link below and we'll take you to Part 2.